Welcome to Breakup Cheater, where every story peels back the layers of human emotion, betrayal, and the dark side of love. Here we explore real-life heartbreak, shocking twists, and emotional journeys that will grip you from start to finish. Subscribe if you dare to witness the truth behind the masks people wear. I never thought a few careless words could unravel everything I loved. But that night, standing under the golden chandeliers of the Whitmore estate, I learned that some jokes are better left unspoken. We had been invited to a colleague's gala, a celebration of corporate achievements and high society charm. I'd spent hours choosing the perfect dress, a deep emerald gown that clung to my curves just right, and fussing over my hair until it fell in soft waves over my shoulders. David, my husband of 7 years, looked impossibly handsome in his charcoal suit. I had always admired the quiet confidence he carried, the way he commanded a room without saying much. But that night, I didn't see the room through his steady eyes. I saw it through mine, eager for laughter, attention, and a little bit of mischief. It started innocuously enough. A group of colleagues huddled by the champagne fountain, their laughter bubbling louder than the drinks they held. I leaned in, feeling bold, and whispered a little joke about David's salary. "Oh, David makes how much?" I said, forcing a playful gasp. "I hope he at least splurges on me sometimes." The words hung in the air longer than I anticipated. Some laughed, some chuckled awkwardly, and then there was that pause, the one that made my stomach twist. David's jaw tightened, his eyes flashing with something I hadn't seen before, hurt. Not embarrassment, not anger, but deep, piercing hurt. I was joking," I added quickly, laughing too loudly. "It's just, a little fun." David didn't answer. He turned away, disappearing into the crowd with a stiff, calculated stride. The rest of the night became a blur. I tried to follow him, catch his eye, apologize, but he seemed to have vanished into thin air. And just like that, a single careless comment had created a chasm between us I couldn't cross. When we got home, the house felt colder than usual. I poured us each a glass of wine, hoping it might thaw the tension, but he didn't move to touch it. "David," I began, my voice trembling, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." He shook his head slowly, cutting me off. "I can't do this, Claire. Not anymore." I laughed, a hollow, disbelieving laugh. "Do what?" "It was a joke." He set his glass down with deliberate force. "It wasn't funny to me." Something in the set of his shoulders, the hard line of his mouth, told me this wasn't just about a joke. I reached for him, my fingers brushing his arm. He pulled away. I think we need time apart," he said quietly, almost to himself. "I need to figure out what respect looks like in a marriage. Because right now I don't see it." Froze. Time apart. That night, in our bedroom that had been witness to 7 years of shared love and laughter, I felt the floor collapse beneath me. The next few days were unbearable. David didn't call. He didn't answer my texts. I sent messages filled with apologies, explanations, and promises that I would never make such a thoughtless joke again. None of it mattered. Finally, a week later, he returned home, not with anger, not with raised voices, but with silence so thick it was suffocating. He held a folder in his hands, and I instinctively knew it was something important. "Claire," he said, voice flat, "I've made a decision. I'm leaving." I laughed nervously, thinking it was part of some cruel game. "Leaving? For what?" "You're mad, I get it, but..." He shook his head. "It's not just anger, Claire. It's disappointment. It's betrayal. You humiliated me in front of people who are supposed to respect me, and you didn't even notice. Thought I knew you. I thought we were partners. But you care more about the image of me than the reality of who I am." Tears blurred my vision. "David, please. I didn't mean to hurt you. Love you. You know that." He looked at me, and in that gaze I saw every moment of our life together. The love, the trust, the intimacy we had shared, turning into ash. I think this marriage was never what you wanted," he said softly. "I think you've always wanted admiration, not me." And now I see it clearly. He left that night. The sound of the door closing was a finality I will never forget. I tried to understand what I had done, replaying the party in my mind endlessly. Was it really just a joke? Or had it exposed a truth I had been too blind to see? The weeks that followed were unbearable. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I wandered through the house like a ghost, running my hands over the furniture that now felt foreign, haunted by his absence. Friends called, but I lied. I told them he was traveling, busy with work, but they could hear the strain in my voice. The guilt was like a weight pressing down on my chest, crushing every ounce of confidence I had once had. Then one evening I found his letter tucked in the drawer of our bedroom, a letter I hadn't known he wrote until after he left. I unfolded the paper with trembling hands, each word a dagger. Claire, I want you to know this isn't easy for me. I've loved you with everything I had, and losing you feels like losing a part of myself. But love isn't enough when respect is absent. You humiliated me at that party. Not just with your words but with your disregard for my feelings. I can't continue in a marriage where I feel small, where my worth is a joke to you. I hope you can find understanding someday. I hope you can find yourself. I hope we both heal. David. I cried until my body shook, until my tears were spent and I was left raw and hollow. I understood finally that my careless joke had revealed more than humor. It had revealed a fracture in our marriage I hadn't wanted to see. Months passed. David didn't come back. He didn't reach out. Friends whispered about him moving on, about his new life in the city, about a happiness I no longer shared. I tried to carry on, tried to laugh again, tried to exist in a world where he was no longer part of it. But everywhere I went, I saw pieces of him. In the quiet moments of morning coffee, in the scent of his cologne that lingered in our closet, in the empty chair at our dinner table. I thought about writing him. I thought about begging. I thought about explaining that my words were careless, but my heart was always his. But I didn't. Because I had learned something crucial. Sometimes love isn't about holding on. Sometimes love is about letting go, even when it breaks you into pieces. One evening, almost a year later, I ran into him at a bookstore. I froze when I saw him, the man I had loved more than life itself, browsing quietly in the aisles. He looked different somehow, taller, more assured, but still unmistakably David. He looked up and our eyes met. For a moment, time suspended itself. I wanted to reach for him, to beg him to forgive me, to explain that I had learned my lesson. But the words wouldn't come. I didn't expect to see you here, he said softly. David, I whispered, barely louder than the rustle of pages around us. He smiled a small, sad smile. You look well. I nodded, unsure how to respond. You too. We stood there, the silence stretching between us like an ocean. And in that silence, I realized that our love had not disappeared. It had transformed. It had become memory, lesson, and sorrow. I'm happy, he said finally, closing the book he had been holding. I've built a life I'm proud of. And I hope you find that too. My throat tightened. Words failed me again. He gave me one last glance, a mixture of compassion and finality, and walked away. I watched him go, my heart breaking and healing at the same time. I knew he was gone for good, but I also knew he deserved every ounce of happiness he had found. That night, I sat in our apartment, now painfully empty, and I cried. I cried for the man I had loved, for the marriage I had destroyed, for the careless joke that had changed everything. But in that crying there was also clarity. I understood who I was, what I had lost, and what I needed to become. I will never forget the laughter that turned into silence, the love that turned into absence, the life that turned into memory. But I will also never forget the lesson. Respect is the foundation of love, and once it's broken, no amount of apologies or tears can repair it. David left me forever. And in losing him, I learned the true cost of thoughtlessness and the unbearable weight of betrayal, even when it wears the mask of a joke. Thank you for listening to tonight's story. If you felt the tension, heartbreak, or suspense, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. so you never miss a story that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about love and betrayal. And remember, sometimes the darkest truths are closer than you think.